work anywhere?
Yes, I have.
And when did you start?
I started working about a month ago.
Okay, that would have been August the 1st, about.
Yeah, I think I started working about a month, about August 18th.
Okay. And prior to that, where did you work?
Prior to that, I worked at Publix.
Okay. All right. And Mr. Leonard, do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony that you give during today's hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you?
I do.
And is anyone on the phone or in the room with you?
No, ma'am.
And are you recording today's hearing?
I am not.
And Ms. Swift, is anyone on the phone or in the room with you?
No, ma'am.
And do you have any other witnesses besides Mr. Leonard?
No, ma'am.
And are you recording today's hearing?
No, ma'am.
I would like to let you know that for Georgia Department of Appeal purposes, I am recording today's hearing to make an official record of this hearing. Now, before we go any further, I would like to verify the addresses that I have on record. Mr. Glover, I have 1631 Stanton Road, apartment F9, Atlanta, Georgia 30311.
Yes, S9 as in Sally. Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And Ms. Sweat, I have Post Office Box 407, Lakeland, Florida 33802.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'm going to explain the hearing procedures. I will be going over the issues to be discussed. I will be placing documents into exhibits for the agency to show how we came to be here today, and I'll open the hearing into testimony. Now, the claim examiner's determination has ruled this case to be a discharge. In discharge cases, the employer bears the burden of proof. Both sides will have the opportunity to testify. Both sides will have the opportunity to ask the other side questions pertaining to testimony given. Once all relevant testimony has been given regarding the issues, both parties will be able to make a closing statement, or you can stand on your testimony and I'll close the hearing. Since the hearing is being recorded, please speak loud and clear. It is important that only one party speaks at a time and that there is no background noise to assure that your testimony is heard in the hearing. A copy of today's decision will be in the mail. You will not receive a decision today. So in the event that either party disagrees with today's decision, there is another level of appeal called the Board of Review. Now, the board will only review the recording of this hearing, evidence in the record, and my decision for legal and technical accuracy. However, at the next level, there will be no additional testimony or evidence taken, and a decision will be made based on the facts reported today. But you will have the right to appeal within 15 days of the mailing date of today's decision. Now, in the event that we are disconnected, please hang up, keep your lines clear, and wait for my return call. I will call you back. You will not be able to reach me. Mr. Glover, do you have any questions about the procedure?
I don't.
Ms. Sweat, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Okay. For the record, the hearing is now open. Today's date is September 25th, 2019. The time is 1:11. This is docket number 19059-19, and this is an appeal hearing in the matter of Howard Glover and Public Supermarket. Representing the employer is Lauren Swift, and she is a senior employment law investigator for Public. And the witness today is Walt Leonard, and he is store manager. The hearing is being conducted by Administrative Hearing Officer Deborah Smith. Now I'm going to go over the issues that we're going to be discussing in today's hearing. These issues can be found on the second page of the hearing notice at the bottom in the section entitled Issues to be Decided. I am required to read these to you exactly as they are printed. Now, the first issue is a show cause issue, and it reads whether the petitioner had good cause for reopening a hearing and whether the request was made within 15 days of the administrative hearing officer's decision. The next issue is an issue of a discharge, and it reads whether the discharge or suspension of the claimant was for failure to follow order, rules, or instructions, or failure to perform the duties for which employed. The next issue is an issue of a quit, and it reads whether the claimant had a good work-connected cause for leaving the employer or whether the claimant voluntarily accepted the separation due to a lack of work. And the last issue is a tax issue between the Department of Labor and the employer only, and it reads whether the employer supplied written separation information to the department in a timely manner. Mr. Glover, do you have any questions about the issues?
Um, no, not no.
Okay. And Ms. Sweat, do you have any questions?
No, ma'am.
Now, if you furnished any documents to the department in connection with this appeal prior to the hearing, and if you wish the documents to be part of the record or part of my decision, please bring them to my attention during your testimony. Documents do not automatically become part of the record or part of my decision unless they're actually addressed during today's hearing. So with that in mind, I would like to enter some documents into the by the administrative hearing officer under docket number 17080-19. The hearing was conducted on August 29, 2019, where a non-participant or a non-appearance decision was released. Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy?
Yes, I'm the one that issued the appeal because she called early in the morning, and that day I was asleep when she called, so that was my fault that for the last hearing. So yes, I've received that.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes.
All right. And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
No, I don't have any objection with you entering that document into the record. No, I don't.
Okay. And Ms. Witt, did you receive a copy of this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
No, ma'am.
It's going to be herein is show cause agency exhibit number 1, first page, and the second page is show cause agency exhibit number 1A. The next document that I'd like to enter into the record is the original appeal. This hearing was scheduled to be, the hearing was scheduled for the appeal on August 29, 2019. And this is a one-page email document. It has Howard Glover with an email address Friday, August 9, 2019 at 3:03 a.m. It has appeals, a Howard Glover appeal, and it starts out, hi, I'm Howard Glover. I appealed my decision, one of my UC claims. Mr. Glover, did you file an appeal?
Yes.
And is this the document that I just described?
Yes, it is. It's probably misspelled because I was speaking into Google Voice, but yeah, there's a lot of words that's probably misspelled. But yes, that's me.
Okay, and would you verify your email address for me?
Glover6145@gmail.com.
Okay, and Ms. Witt, did you receive a copy of this original appeal request?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any questions or objections to entering this document into the record?
No,
To
ma'am.
show the, okay, for the record, I'm going to enter the first appeal, original appeal, as show cause agency exhibit number 2 to show the appeal had been filed. Now we'll proceed to the claim examiner's determination. Appeals got expired on or before August 21st. Department records show that the appeal was received on August 9th. Thus, the appeal was filed timely. The next document that I'd like to enter into the record is the notice of hearing for docket number 17080-19. It's indicated that a notice of telephone hearing was scheduled to be conducted by the administrative hearing officer on August 29, 2019 at 8:15. This two-page document explains the instructions for the appeal process and the issues to be discussed. Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy of this document?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
I did, but apparently I misunderstood it because I overslept. I didn't realize it was 8:15 in the morning. But yes, I've seen it.
Okay. And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
No, I don't. If it's just about the appeal, getting the appeal, no, I have no issues with it. No.
Okay. And Ms. Witt, did you receive a copy of this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any questions or objections to it being entered into the record?
No, ma'am.
The first page of the notice of hearing is going to be hearing in a show cause agency exhibit number 3, and the second page is show cause agency exhibit number 3A. The next document that I'd like to enter into the record is the claim examiner's determination. This is the one-page document that was mailed out by the department on August 5th, qualifying the claimant as of June 30th, 2019. Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy of the claim examiner's determination?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
I did.
And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
No.
Ms. Witt, did you receive a copy of this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
No, ma'am.
The record I'm marking the claim examiner's determination is show cause agency exhibit number 4. The next document that I'd like to enter into the record is what we call the show cause appeal. This is an email document regarding the request from the claimant. It has Howard Glover with an email address that has Friday, August 30th, 2019 at 6:31. The appeal starts out with the two endeavors. It may concern Mr. Howard Glover. I'm sorry to regret to say that my phone was unplugged when the officer called, so I did not have a chance file this appeal?
I did.
And would you verify your email address for me?
Glover6145@gmail.com.
And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
I don't.
Okay. And Ms. Witt, did you receive a copy of this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
No, ma'am. I would like to note, though, that he just previously stated that he overslept, and that's different testimony provided in the appeal.
Okay, thank you.
Mm,
We'll go over that in
okay. Well,
testimony.
okay.
We'll go over that at the time of testimony.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And the appeal had to be filed on or before September 13th, 2019, and the appeal was received and stamped on September 3rd, 2019. The appeal was filed timely. Now, the next document that I would like to enter into the record is a two-page document. It has discharge DOL 1199
That's right.
Georgia Department of Labor claimants information on discharge. Questions 1 through 7 are on the first page. The rest of the answer to question 7 and question 8 and 9 is on the second page. Mr. Glover, this should have been the document that you filled out on the computer at the time that you filed for unemployment benefits. Did you receive a copy of this document?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
I did.
And do you have any questions or objections to it being entered into the record?
No, I don't have any, no. Any of the documents that I filled out, I have no objections with them being entered. I don't, no.
And Ms. Witt, did you receive a copy of this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you have any questions or objections to it being entered into the record?
No, ma'am.
Just for the record, the show cause was show cause agency exhibit number 5. I'm not sure if I stated that or not. But the claimant's information on discharge first page is show cause agency exhibit number 6, and the second page is show cause agency exhibit number 6A. Now, the last document that I'd like to enter at this time is a two-page document. It has Publix Supermarket Central Examining Unit Employer's information on discharge for failure to obey order, rules, or instructions, or failure to perform the duties for which hired. First page has questions 1 through 6. Second page has question 7. And please provide the following information, which was the dates of employment. Ms. Witt, did the company fill out this document?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it a true and accurate document to the best of your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy of this document?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
I did.
And do you have any questions or objections to me entering this document into the record?
I do not.
Okay, for the record, I'm marking the first page of the employer's information on discharge as show cause agency exhibit number 7, and the second page is show cause agency exhibit number 7A. That's all the documents that I'm going to enter at this time. In a moment, I will be taking testimony and collecting evidence of the issue. And we will start with Mr. Leonard's testimony. And when he finishes, Ms. Wood will be able to ask any questions, and Mr. Glover will be able to ask any questions. Before we start with Mr. Glover's testimony, and Ms. Wood will be able to ask any questions before we go to closing session. Mr. Glover, do you have any questions before we start with testimony?
I have some questions, but my questions are about the testimony. So I guess I guess my question will come out at testimony then.
It will.
Okay.
And Ms. Witt, do you have any questions before we start with testimony?
No, ma'am.
And Mr. Leonard, do you have any questions before we start with testimony?
I do not.
Okay. Mr. Leonard, first I'm going to go ahead and start with the show cause. I just need to know why you weren't able to be at the last hearing before we start with regular testimony.
Okay, the reason why I wasn't being able at the last airing, when I received the letter, I thought it said 8:45 and it said 8:15. So when she called, my phone wasn't charged and it was unplugged. So it was just an unfortunate event. But that was my fault. It was just a mistake, and I really felt bad for it. That's why I applied for the appeal so quickly. So that was the reason why. It was just a bad situation. I'm not used to phone interviews.
And do you usually charge your phone at night?
Well, yeah, normally, I keep it on the charger so when I wake up, it'll be charged. It's a cell phone, so.
And you didn't think the night before to put it on charge knowing that you was going to have a
Well, and to be honest with you, ma'am, this is where things get even worse, and I can admit to this. I was actually a day behind because at my new job, we were switching companies. So I was actually a day behind. I thought it was Wednesday when it was actually Thursday. So I was a day behind on my scheduling anyway. So it was, like I said, on my part, it was just a bad situation. Believe me, I wanted to prove my case no more than anybody, and I really felt bad about it. That's why I applied for the appeal so quickly. Trust me.
And Ms. Webb, do you have any questions for Mr. Glover about the show call?
No, ma'am.
All right, then, Mr. Leonard, we're going to start with your testimony. What was Mr. Glover's title or position?
He was part-time deli clerk.
And when did he start?
I don't have that date in front of me. So,
Posting official notice to show cause agency exhibit number 7A. It says date of employment hire was April 6, 2019. Does that sound correct?
that's correct.
Okay. And the last day was June 30th, 2019. Does that sound correct?
That's correct.
Now, did he quit or was he discharged?
He was discharged.
And what was the official reason given for the discharge?
Numerous customer complaints.
And is that a violation of company policy?
That's correct.
And how is Mr. Glover made aware of company policy?
In his hiring,
Is this done with orientation or handbook?
correct. Well, I meant to say orientation. It was done through orientation.
And does he sign a handbook?
He does receive a handbook, yes, ma'am.
And does he sign stating that he's read and understood the handbook?
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Lennon, what does the policy state? You don't have to tell me word for word, but basically, what does the policy say that he violated?
Well, we have where if you have any customer complaints, we go through a coaching process, and if we receive numerous complaints, then we try to hold that associate accountable to those. In this case, there was times of coaching, and there was numerous customer complaints that led up to the discharge. I don't have a word for word in front of me.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. All right, now, so tell me what happened that led to Mr. Glover's separation and what days this happened on.
Again, I don't have that exact date of when he actually received the numerous customer complaints. I do know that they were documented, that he was coached and counseled on the previous ones.
And do you know what the complaints were about?
The complaints were his demeanor, of his facial expressions, that the customer felt that he was uninviting, that he felt, the customers felt, and again, I took several of those complaints, that the customer was a distraction in his work.
And when you say he was a distraction in his work,
Well, the customer got the perception that
Perception.
asking him questions, his facial expressions, and it could come to
Mr. Glover,
I'm sorry.
I'm going to ask simply just as mindful of your respect whenever you give your
I understand. I apologize, but this is hard to listen to, but go ahead.
well,
I,
we can do that or we can postpone this for another 3 or 4 weeks.
no, I understand that. I'm listening. I apologize.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Leonard, if you'll go ahead with your testimony.
The customer complaints were where the customer felt like they're coming and approaching him for his service, that they were a distraction of his day. Also, the facial expressions that he was giving off to them
Mr. Glover receive verbal or written documentation?
He received verbal at time, and he also received written.
Now, was he warned what consequences he would receive if he didn't correct his
Yes, ma'am, he was.
actions? I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am, he was.
Did he know that his job was in jeopardy with the company?
I believe the way it was explained to him, yes, ma'am.
And do you know how many times Mr. Glover was verbally or in written, received written warning?
I would, well, I would say he was given um, 4 counseling statements, and I want to say at least 2 different times he was given verbal counseling.
Is that company policy usually to give 4 counseling
Well,
or termination?
it actually depends upon the severity of the complaint. But again, we feel at times there's a time for coaching, and then there's a time we have to document the actual complaint.
Thank you, Mr. Leonard. I don't have any further questions at this time. Is there anything that you would like to add that has not been stated in your testimony?
No, ma'am.
And Ms. Whit, do you have any questions for Mr. Leonard?
I'd like to submit the documents that go along with his testimony, and if you'd like for me to have him specifically explain the documents, I can do so.
Go ahead.
The first document is a 2-page document. It's labeled Retail Notice of Discharge. And this document describes the specific dates of instances of customer complaints.
What does the second page start with?
The second page says Notice to Associates.
I do have a copy of that document, the 2-page document. And Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy of this 2-page document?
Was it? I received a big packet that was sent by y'all that had all the evidence in it. That's what I have. But yes, I received a copy of a 2-page docket. Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you have an opportunity to review it?
I sure did. I did, ma'am.
And do you have any questions or objections to it being entered into the record? And let me let you know that any document that's entered into the record, you also have the opportunity to talk about this document and ask questions about this document.
Okay. If it's the actual coaching documents that you're talking about, or those the documents you're talking about?
This one has retail notice of discharge.
Well, yes, I received that one. Yes, you can enter into the docket. Yes, you can enter it in.
The first page of this document that has notice, retail notice of discharge is going to be entered as show cause employer exhibit number 1, and the second page is show cause employer exhibit number 1A. Now, Mr. Leonard, where is this document kept on a regular business day?
As far, one more time, I'm sorry, I couldn't understand.
Yes, sir. Where is the document kept on a regular business day?
The document in question, you're talking about the counseling statement?
I'm talking about the retail notice of discharge that I just placed into the. Where is the document usually kept on a regular business day?
Okay, they are kept on email to where we would fill them out from an email system.
And are they kept in human resources?
Correct. They'll be filed to human resources. Yes, ma'am.
It would specifically be our personnel records department.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Webb. And what is this, a original copy of, is my copy, and original copy, is a copy of the original document?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
And could you tell me about the document? What the document is? Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, are you referring to the question in email?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir, I'm sorry.
Your question again was what about the document that you referred to?
But just tell me about the document. Why was the document given to Mr. Glover, the retail notice of discharge?
Yeah, the day he was discharged, that document was printed out and he was given a hard copy. Mr. Glover became very, very upset and refused to take the document that I was giving him. And that document basically stated on there that there had been numerous customer complaints since that point in time we were discharging.
Okay, thank you. All right, Ms. Brett, go ahead with your next document.
Yes, ma'am. The next document at the top states counseling statement, and it's dated, Mr. Glover acknowledged his counseling statement on July 25th, 2017.
July.
It's the very next document in the packet. It's at the very bottom.
Okay, I do see it. Okay, at the very bottom. Okay, I do have a copy of that. I'm sorry.
But this,
I'm looking all
that's
around. I
okay.
didn't see the very bottom. I was looking at the 19th. Okay, Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy of the counseling statement on, at the very bottom that has July 25th, 2017?
Yes, I have a question about that.
Okay,
Do I need to save it to the testimony or I can ask now?
you need to take it to your testimony, but you will be able to talk about all the documents during your testimony.
Okay, all right.
All right. Do you have any questions or objections to it being entered into the record at this time?
No,
You can talk about it.
no.
Okay. It's going to be entered as show cause agency employer exhibit number 2. And Ms. Whit, where is this document kept on a regular business day?
With our personnel records department.
And is my copy a true and accurate document of the original?
Yes, ma'am.
And
And I would just like to note, just for your information, at the top under facts or events, it describes the incident that led to the counseling. Under action taken, it documents that this was a written counseling, and under failure to improve, it states that any additional incidents of customer complaints would result in a 1-week suspension.
okay, thank you. All right, that's all the information I'm looking at. Thank you. Go ahead with your next document.
It's the very next document. This is also labeled counseling statement. We actually provided 2 copies of the same document. The first, under associate, the store manager acknowledged this because Mr. Glover did not acknowledge the counseling statement. But the second copy that we provided under associate comments, Mr. Glover wrote, "I quit." Although both documents are the same counseling statement, we provided both.
Okay, and was that the Mr. Glover's response on the second document?
I believe so. That would be where he wrote in his comments.
Okay, and Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy of these 2 documents?
I did.
And did you have an opportunity to review them?
I did.
And did you have any questions or objections to them being entered into the record so that you can talk about those documents?
I do. Because they were 2 years ago and that has nothing to do with now. So that's my reason. No, we shouldn't talk about what happened 2 years ago.
Okay, but these were documents that were, that you were counseled on, is that correct?
Yes, but that was from another store that was 2 years ago. Like, I don't even understand what that has to do with now. That was my whole issue. Like, that was 2 years ago. I quit the company and came back. So, like, I don't understand why would them documents hold any value. I quit. That whole situation that happened, I decided it got too bad and I terminated. They wanted to suspend me, and I just said, you know what? If I can't handle this right now, I'll just. The manager said I could resign, and I just resigned. So bring.
Not at, this was not at the store that you were,
No, this was a store that I was working at 2 years prior. I was going from Publix for 2 whole years. I don't even know how these even came up. I fell on a sword for that, so that shouldn't even be entered into the document.
if this is from a different store, um, then I will not,
2 years ago.
I would like to note this is still part of his personnel record.
yes ma'am, but it wasn't, um, anything to do with the store and the discharge that he was discharged for from your store. It may have been taken into consideration, but it wasn't anything to do with the discharge from his store. So, did you have any other documents you wanted entered into the record?
Yes, ma'am. The next one is Publix's rules of unacceptable conduct, specifically rule number 21.
Mr. Glover, did you receive a copy of this document?
Yes, I have.
And did you have an opportunity to review it?
I did.
Do you have any questions or objections to it being entered into the record?
No, I don't. Not at all.
Documents going to be entered into code employer exhibit number 3. And where is this document kept on a regular business day?
This document is part of our associate handbook. This particular document you can see at the bottom, Mr. Glover did sign this document, and this would have been kept in our personnel records department.
Is my copy a true and accurate document of the original?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, because they employer exhibit number 3. All right. Brett, did you have any other documents?
No, ma'am. I did have a question for Mr. Leonard.
Okay. All right, go ahead with your question.
Mr. Leonard, on the retail notice of discharge, it states that Mr. Glover received 3 separate complaints on May 26, 2019, and another complaint on June 27th, 2019. Will you please provide some details to these complaints?
Yes, the one that we received 3 was actually in one particular night. And what we did was I ended up talking to Mr. Glover about those incidents, and he did receive, coaching and counseling based on that. And then he did receive another one. I want to say the day that we were actually discharging him, he actually received a customer complaint that afternoon. So again, these were the ones that we wanted to make sure that he understood that couldn't continue on.
Okay, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Mr. Glover, did you have any questions before we start with your testimony?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead and ask your question.
My question is, this is the question. Okay. My question is this. I received 3 customer complaints in one day. I didn't know about it.
Hold on a minute. You can't give testimony. You just have to ask the question.
Oh,
and see the answer.
well, did I sign? When we had these counseling statements, from the 3 complaints from the counseling statements that was received, did I sign anything? Was there a signature signed at the bottom of them?
There was a refusal to sign.
Can I say another? Oh, that's all the rest of that is testimony. I'll wait for the testimony for that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right. Then we'll start with your testimony, Mr. Glover.
Okay.
Some questions are going to be repetitious at the beginning. What was your title or position?
My title of position, I was a part-time deli clerk at Publix store 119 in Atlanta, Georgia.
All right. And when did you start?
I started. My hire date was August, I believe. I'm sorry. April 6th. Yeah, April 6th, 2019.
All right. And what was your last day?
April 30th, 2019.
And did you quit or were you discharged?
I was discharged.
And what was the official reason given for your your discharge?
The official reason that was given to for my discharge was the simple fact of they said that I was rude and nasty to a customer,
Is that a violation of company policy?
and it was a violation of company policy.
And how were you made aware of company policy?
Well, when you come to Publix, they tell you about being nice to the customers and treating everyone with a smile and stuff. That's why you try so hard to do. That's what you do. That's the goal.
And tell me what happened that led to your separation. What day this happened on?
What happened? They let my separation. Okay. What led to my separation was, if I can go back about the 3 complaints Mr. Leonard are talking about those, well, I didn't know about any of them until one day I was working. I had an order in the back in the deli. It was a 50-piece order because the lady was having a birthday party. We were short on the deli. We were short up in the deli, and I had to jump on the subline. So I'm frying chicken, and I jumped on the subline. I was helping a man out. The man would tell, this is crazy, but the man would tell my coworker for me to put on the sandwich. Whatever I would put on the sandwich, he would yell at me. He would started yelling at me. He started being real nasty, started cursing at me. I didn't say anything. I just made the sandwich. Some ladies went and told Mr. Leonard that I was giving off rude facial expressions, which I still don't understand. So Mr. Leonard pulls me into the office, and me and him speak, and I tell him what happened. He says, well, how come you didn't get a manager? I said, because I had it, and it was fine. And he tells me, Howard, you have to work on your facial expressions. And I said, you know what, Mr. Walt, I will. I've been getting that all my life. People say that I'm always looking mean when I'm not. Sometimes when I'm thinking, I'm always, my mind, that's just the way my face look when I'm thinking. But, you're dealing with the public. So I say, okay. And that was that. There was no signature. I didn't even know I was being written up. I thought we were just having a conversation. I had no idea that I was being written up, because had I knew that this was a coaching, I would have signed at the bottom of the paper what I disagreed with. That never happened. There was never no document. So now what happened now, so mind you, after that happened, after we had that conversation, I received 3, not 1, not 2, but 3 customer service awards from Mr. Leonard for my good customer service. I was improving. June 27th, I believe. It was the day I woke up. It was only 3 of us in the deli, ma'am. 3 of us. It's normally 5 of us that work in the deli. It was only 3 of us that day. I woke up and my stomach was aching. I mean, my stomach was on blitz. But because I didn't want to call out and I knew we were shorthanded, and besides, I really enjoy working at Publix, I went into work. I had to close the hot case in the deli. And mind you, Mr. Leonard has a thing where he wants us out by midnight, because if we're not out by midnight, people get written up. I just want to keep that in mind. The deli's packed. I'm cooking chicken, and I'm trying to close the hot case. 3 people come up, and my stomach was upset, and I'm making it the best that I can do with it. The first 2 customers go by, everything's fine. One lady comes up, the last lady that comes up, and she asks about some chicken wings. We were out of chicken. My coworker that worked before me, she fried the last batch. She fried the last batch of wings. The woman says, Tony, what's wrong with you? They refer to me as Tony at Publix. I said, I didn't want to tell her that my stomach was upset. I didn't want to tell her that I had to go to the bathroom. So I said, nothing, ma'am. I'm just a little overwhelmed. But how can I help you? She said, ask me how long the wings were out. I asked my whole worker, when did Amaka leave? He said an hour. I said, so ma'am, they've been out about for an hour. She says to me, she wants 10 of them. I said, okay. I give her the bag. I get the bag and I start putting the wings in there. Halfway through, she says, you know what, Tony, don't worry about it. You're fine. You're good. I said, you sure? Can I get you anything else? She said, no, don't worry about it. You're good. You're good. You're good. I figured she didn't want the wings because they wasn't fresh and there wasn't no more left. About maybe 3 hours later, as I'm closing the deli, the bakery manager comes up to me and says that the woman was crying and saying that I was so rude and I was so nasty to her and that she didn't ever want to shop again. Then the next day, which would happen to been, I guess, would probably been the 29th, me and Mr. Leonard had a conversation, and he even told me, he was telling me, asking me what happened or whatever, and I was explaining the same thing that I've said to you is what I said to him. I had no idea that woman felt any type of way. I had no idea I offended her by saying that I was overwhelmed. You get what I'm saying? The only reason why I used the word overwhelmed because I didn't say I had to go to the bathroom because I had a stomach virus. I didn't want to say that. So with that being said, he took, as I'm explaining it to him, it was like, how can I put it? no matter what I said, I was in the wrong. No matter when the part when she was leaving and I was trying to say, well, ma'am, can I get you something else? It was pretty much his attitude was, well, the damage was done then. You did it already. So next thing I know, I come into work. No, Saturday, I got fired on a Sunday. Saturday night as I was leaving work, which would have to have been the 29th, Mr. Leonard asked me, what time do I come to work the next day? And I said, I work at 3. I said, do you need me to come in early or something? He said, no, you're good, you're good. Don't worry about it, go home. I'll come to work the next day, and as I clock in, I work on one sandwich. He calls me to the break room. Calls me to his office. I go into his office with my manager, Genesis, and he just asks me, when I get into the office, he says, Howard, well, what's wrong? And I'm nervous, like, why am I? He was like, why are you nervous? Like, because I'm in here, what's up? And he said, well, the thing with the customer has escalated, and with all your numerous customer complaints, and mind you, I only have one coaching at this time, mind you that. But all these numerous customer complaints, and I've only knew of one in the lady from the other night. We have to let you go. And and the thing about it is, Tony, me knowing this store, I will say majority of them were probably racially motivated. He said that in front of my store manager, Genesis. That's when I became like, what, racially motivated? And I started crying. And I said, you know what? At this point, I just can't hear no more. And I left. And I'm going to say this. And I don't want to get emotional, but it hurts me to my heart when I hear somebody tell me that my facial expressions, they don't like the way I look. You get what I'm saying? He looks you get what I'm saying? That to me, that part right there, what really done it for me. Regardless if I get this back money or not, it has nothing to do with that. This is about my integrity. I've never did anything to harm anybody. The reason why I left the other store is because, I can admit, I didn't know what I was getting into. Working at Publix and dealing with customers is not easy. I wasn't ready for it then, so that's the reason why I quit. But just to try to malign my character and saying that I was rude and nasty, and it's not true. Then I received, when y'all send a packet in the mail with the all the evidence, I received the 2 counseling statements that he told me that he gave me, and at the bottom of them, they have the I was fired June 30th. How am I going to sign a statement on my birthday, which is July 16th, and I wasn't even in the store? He told me some refusal to sign. He never gave them to me. And my only question is you, ma'am, and I'm going to leave this up to you. Had I knew that I was being coached, you best believe if I felt as though it was unjust, I would have felt something at the bottom of them boxes. I wouldn't have just left it blank like that. And that's all I have to say with my testimony. I'm done.
Now, on July the 25th,
I was fired on the 30th. Anything after the 30th, I had nothing to do with because I wasn't there no more. So if any signature saying being signed July 25th and July 16th, I didn't even receive my first statement I received in the mail after I was terminated. I didn't even know anything about any complaints until the one he told me about the customers, and I said, okay, I'm going to change. And I got 3 awards after that. Then this lady coming in saying this, and then this one, all this paperwork coming in with all these numerous complaints.
okay, so when you talked with Mr. Leonard about the facial, and you admitted that you would work on it, what did you do to try to change?
I started singing the music that they had because I like music. So, because like a lot of times if I'm frowned up or something, it's only because I'm always thinking about, I'm a writer. So I'm always thinking about things. My mind is always thinking. So, and I understand to other people, it may like people, what they don't understand, they shoot down. You get what I'm saying? So I said, okay, what can I do? So when music come on, I started singing, started singing the song, was getting into music and stuff. And that's how I received 3 customers, when you do good at Publix, they give you free sub awards, right? I received 3 of them, and I believe one of them was signed by Mr. Leonard after we had the facial expression talk. So I received awards after this situation happened. I did get better.
And why did he say that the final incident had escalated? What did he say?
I don't know. The lady, apparently, this lady went and told I don't know. I really couldn't even tell you. Only thing I said, he said it had escalated. I don't know. And he just said they all decided to terminate me. And then, on top of that, for the love of me, which I still don't understand is And I understand Publix because they're a great company. They are. I've always wanted to work for them. And that was the reason why I came back a second time. But I will say this: I just don't understand how a person can just come up and say something and it automatically makes it fact. If you look at the surveillance tape that's over the deli, you will see that there was no argument, there was no interaction. I guess she felt as though that, I don't know why she felt the way she felt. I can't even, if I knew I've harmed her or wronged her in some way, ma'am, I would have, did anything to make her, because the last thing you want to do is make somebody feel bad.
I don't have any further questions at this time. Is there anything you want to add that hasn't been stated in your testimony?
Um, I'm gonna have imitated in my testimony. Well, no, I talked about the dates that don't make sense. That's pretty much it. My question. That's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. That's all I have to say. I just want them dates. You know.
Ms. Witt, did you have any questions for Mr. Glover?
Mr. Glover, did you submit any of these supposed customer compliments for the hearing?
No, I didn't. But the thing of it is, though, I'm sure y'all have record of it. Or does y'all? I mean, but it's true though. He could even. I'm quite sure Mr. Walt could even admit it's true that he went to the deli and gave me one. Because one I received personally by him, and the other two I received by my manager. And this was after the incident of the facial expressions, because he was so proud.
I don't have any further questions.
Do you have any rebuttal for Mr. Leonard? Witt?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And Mr. Glover, did you have any questions for Mr. Leonard before we go to closing statement?
My only question is, how come when we had the first counseling statement that you're saying that I refused to sign, why did you wait until I was terminated to sit there and say that I signed on my birthday when you never presented it to me? Because had you presented it to me then, I would have appealed it right then and there.
The question, you can't give testimony.
Okay, well, I'm still new to that, but then I'm fine then. With that, I don't have no other questions to ask him. I'm good.
All right. Did you want to add to your testimony before we go to closing statement?
I just would like, the only testimony I would like to add is the dates of me supposedly not being able to sign. I've never received any written statement for me to sign, so that's what I want the testimony to pay attention to. That's it.
And Ms. Witt, did you have any questions for Mr. Glover before we go to closing statement?
No, ma'am.
Did you have any rebuttal for Mr. Leonard before we go to closing statement?
Mr. Leonard, do you have anything else that you would like to add based on his testimony?
I do not.
Then this concludes the testimony portion of today's hearing. I would like to give both parties an opportunity to make a brief closing statement, or you can stand on your testimony. Ms. Witt, would you like to make a brief closing statement or stand on your testimony?
I'd like to make a brief closing statement.
Okay, go ahead.
Mr. Glover was well aware of Publix's expectation that he provide all customers with premier customer service. Despite knowing this, management continued to receive numerous customer complaints about Mr. Glover, which they could no longer tolerate. Therefore, Publix respectfully requests that our account not be charged for his benefits. Thank you.
And Mr. Glover, would you like to make a brief closing statement?
I sure will. Yes, hi. Yes, hi. Howard A. Glover here. Basically, yes, when I applied to Publix, yes, I did sign to work on customer service and to treat each customer with premier service. But one thing I do understand about customers, everybody's different. Now, just as well, if I had customer complaints, I've had customer compliments. I've helped a lot of customers. So my basically thing of this, just because I feel as though, it's not. I think their account should be charged, because just because a person facial expression, you don't understand a person facial expression, does not determine, well, I don't like the way he looked. That to me sounds racist, in my opinion. So with that being said, I think their account should be charged, and I stand on my testimony.
I will now close today's hearing. The administrative hearing docket. No number 19059-19 is now closed. The time is 1:59. I would like to thank all parties for their participation in today's hearing, and as I stated earlier, a written decision from today's hearing will be in the mail to both parties. I thank you, and I hope you each enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye bye.